How's it going, guys? Rosine here for AstroFarsography, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you a really quick and quite simple way of reducing star sizes using Photoshop. Now, one advantage of reducing those star sizes in your image is that it kind of removes distractions away from the deep sky object you are trying to highlight. So whether that's a galaxy or a nebula, being able to remove so many point sources in the image, or at least make them smaller, helps bring out the nebula or the image a lot more, but still doesn't change its overall appearance. It just kind of boosts the background or the nebula, for example. So jumping into Photoshop here, what I have is a few images we're going to go through. So I've got a galaxy, a nebula with big stars, and then a pretty standard nebula here. None of these were taken with narrowband imaging. This is all broadband stack. This is a broadband image on a DSLR. Let's start with the Pelican Nebula here. Now, I'm just going to get rid of that curves layer, starting with an image like this. So it's quite nice already. You can see the pelican appearing. This is what I always see, the eye here and the beak comes down here, but it's tucked away behind all the nebulosity. Now, I can't see the nebula that well because of all the stars. As nice as the star field is in this image, I can't see it that well. So I'm just going to call this original, and I'm going to duplicate that and then just call it reduced. Of course, you can name these any name that you want to help you navigate around your image. I'm just doing this so we can give a side-to-side comparison. So, reduced. What we're going to do first is we're going to go up to select in Photoshop, and we're going to select color range, and we're going to get this dialog come up. Now we need to go into select sampled colors, and we're going to change it down to highlights. And highlights are going to pick the very brightest part of the histogram, hence the term highlight. And we can adjust the range. So 255 is completely all the way to the right hand side of the histogram, so all the brightest areas of the image only. Down to 0 is all the dark areas and everything above it. We don't obviously want 0 because you can see if we choose the selection, we can see it's just going to select the whole image. If we go somewhere in the middle to, I don't know, like 130, we can see the stars selected are going to be these ones all around here. There is a bit of the nebulosity by the looks of it being selected right there, that very brightest part. I'm not going to be too concerned about that, and I'll show you why. Fuzziness is going to be almost like feathering, how much more it's going to select to help feather that selection, but I'm going to choose that. So we can now see it selected all these highlighted areas that were about 130 pixels, 130 brightness or above. And we can also see that on the histogram. That'll be the 130 mark right there, and it selected everything above it, all the way to the edges, etc. like that. And we have actually managed to avoid selecting any of the nebulosity because the nebula is a darker tone, and that's why the select color hasn't touched it. Now, of course, if I brightened this nebula too much, and we're probably going to see this on the galaxy image, we would actually start selecting nebula, and we'll cross that in a moment. Okay, now that I've got this selection made, we can see the marching ants everywhere. What I want to do is also go back to select, and then I'm going to go to modify and expand. And what we're going to do, expand that selection around the star. Expanding by, we only need a few pixels here, maybe 3, maybe 4. It is going to matter more on how many pixels you have in your image. So if you've only got like 800 pixels, this will be a more pronounced effect. Here we have 2973 by 2932, so quite a few pixels to play with. So I'm going to choose 3. And we can see that selection's gotten much bigger now. Now, if you think that's too strong of an effect, you can always go to your history tab and just click back down to the color range. If you don't have history, you go to Windows, at the top window, and just choose history, and that will crop up. Okay, now that I've expanded my selection, I now want to shrink it again, but I don't want to just shrink it in any normal way. I want to go to select, modify, and then feather. Feathering, for a lack of a better word, it makes a smooth gradient from your selection to everything outside of your selection. If you don't have a feathered edge, it's almost like you've gone from the beach straight into the water, like a direct drop, almost like a cliff, like boff, straight off. But if you feather it a bit, you smoothen out that gradient, almost like you've gone from a beach and walked into the water instead. And we're gonna see this. I usually feather it by around the same amount that I grew it by. So I'm gonna feather it by 3. And we can now see our selection has shrunk again. I'm not too fussed when it does this, where it selects multiple stars, but it looks good. The selection looks nice to me. So, what we want to do now is we are going to go to filter, other, and then minimum. And when we go to filter other minimum, we want to make sure we preserve the roundness, not the squareness. We want to make sure we preserve roundness. And if I put the preview marker over one of these bright stars, we can see as we change the radius, we make that minimization a lot more stronger. We are almost squeezing the star down into a smaller size. So if we go to 0.2 or 0.0, oh, it's going to moan at me. It wants 0.2 is the smallest. We can see it looks like this in the preview. If we go up to 1.5, we can see that it shrunk there. And we want to go to 2. One thing just to be aware of, I'm looking at a very big bright star here, but if you do this too much on the smaller stars, they'll start actually becoming almost like black dots and black orbs, and it's going to ruin the picture altogether. So less is more. So I'm going to go for about a 1.5 and we're going to see what happens there. And straight away I can already tell, I can see the nebula a lot more now. If we go to a before and after, so before it was this bright, and now if we go to the after, we can see the stars have gotten a lot dimmer now. They've also kind of lost any hard edges they might have. If they were very crunchy stars, you could use this technique with quite a small minimum but a large feather, and you can then take that crunchiness off the edges and make it a lot of more of a smoother star, if that is what the look you're going for. If we zoom in quite close here, again before and after, and you can tell the image has lost overall brightness if you look at the histogram as well. The luminosity, the mean is 64. And if we go to the reduced iron, it's gone down to 63. So it has lost a bit of overall brightness. And now you could go on and do further adjustments to this. I like doing the star reduction towards the end. If I want to do any more curve stretches, I'm going to just make those stars crunchy again. I like doing my star minimization, my star reduction towards the end of my processing. What I'd probably do from here is a couple of vibrance layers, maybe 1 or 2 final curves just to make the background a bit darker, try to boost that nebula out a bit more. But that's one nebula with, you know, a decent average size of stars. Now let's go to the Horsehead Nebula here. Of course, we have a nice star field on this image, but we also have several very big, very bright stars here. Namely, of course, we've got Attack right there, and that is going to cause a problem. So just like before, if you remember what we did, try to recall where did we have to go? We had to go to select, and then we select a color range. And we're going to stick with the highlights. Now this image is quite bright. We can see on the highlights at 130 range, it's picking up the Flame Nebula, picking up elements of the Flame Nebula there. And it's going to depend a lot on how much and which stars do you really want to make smaller. If I just want to reduce the sizes of like Attack and this bright star up here, then I'm going to push the range slider up towards the right to like 200, for example. But let's try a 170 and we'll see what happens there. With that selection made, we can see it has actually chose some parts of the Flame Nebula, But again, I'm not too concerned about that, because if we go to our tools on the left and we go to the lasso tool, and I want to go just a normal lasso, and then if you hold down Alt, you'll see the negative, the minus sign appear. And all I want to do is draw around the areas I don't want to be selected, and it will deselect them. So again, that's Alt, click, you can then release Alt, and then just draw around the areas you do not want in your selection. And you could do that if it's selected a star you don't want to reduce. For example, this is a small reflection nebula within the Horsehead complex. I don't want that being minimized, so I'm going to hold Alt, click, and just going to deselect it. Okay. Now, the next thing we had to do again was to expand that selection. So select, modify, and expand. We have quite a few pixels to play with on this. 4,000, it's almost a 5,000 by 3,000 image. So we'll see what 3 does again. And that looks nice to me. If you're wondering how I'm shifting and zooming the image, if you hold Control and use the up and down mouse arrow, the mouse wheel, you can move it left and right. Shift will move it up and down quite a bit. But if you hold Alt and then roll the mouse wheel, it will zoom it in. Right, so we've expanded that selection. So the next thing I want to do now is to feather it. And again, I'm going to feather it by the same amount that I expanded it by. And now we go to filter, other, minimum. I'm not going to click this, because if I click this one at the top, it's going to copy the exact same settings as the last minimum filter. If this is the only image you've edited that day, you wouldn't see that there, but I'm just bringing it up in case someone asks. But I'm going to go back down to other and minimum, so I can reselect a brand new minimum filter. We can already see that Alnitak kind of shrunk a bit. But in order to shrink Alnitak a meaningful amount, we are going to probably start shrinking the other stars a bit too much, especially these smaller ones within the nebula itself. So let's try another 1.5, and all the small stars in the back, fantastic, that looks lovely. What happened to Alnitak? It's lost the harsh edge around it, but can you see a halo beginning to appear? That's one thing you're going to have to be careful of. You kind of balancing act, you know, you're kind of balancing how much are you reducing the stars by, and then the overall star image. I think that looks nice. Again, it's kind of just dulled down the overall luminosity of the image. Alnitak is still there, beautiful and big as always. We have the big stars up here, they're all represented quite nicely. And I'm happy with that. However, if you wanted to shrink Alnitak even more, if you click and duplicate that layer and then select it again, you now want to only really select the really bright areas of the image. So for example, 230, and then we're going to go other and minimum. And then I can make this smaller again, call it 3. So it's shrunk even more. If we zoom in here. So this is the original. That was how Alnitak was after the editing. The first round of reduction, and then the second round of reduction. Now Alnitak is very subdued. One thing you could start doing now is applying layer masks to really control exactly what you wanted. So this star here has got dimmer again, and if I didn't want that, if I go down to here where it says layer mask, and if I hold, if I just click it, it becomes a white layer mask. If I bring up my brush tool, brush, I don't want any hardness on it, and if I paint black on the layer mask, you can see what the layer underneath it can be seen, is visible. A bit like that. So you can really add a lot of control over what you're doing. Another thing you can do, I didn't like that one, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Another thing you could do is kind of blend these two layers now. So if we look at the reduction layer and we look at the opacity here, if I set the opacity to like 66%, the layer underneath is going to show through. All right, we're going to see about 33% of the layer underneath, which means some of those star colors and star brightnesses are preserved. So that's 100% and that's 66%. It's just a lot of tools to really give you all the control you want over your image. So I hope you found that video useful and helpful. Let me know what you thought about it in the video comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If I could have done better, give it a thumbs down and consider subscribing for more videos such as these. In the meantime, all's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching. Hope you have clear skies, keep looking up and keep them cameras clicking. I'll see you later.